I have watched Cartoon Network pretty much the entirety of last year. I've said this a million times, you get it by now. It was a fun time though. It was just fun to go back and revisit all the shows I watched as a kid and watch through for the first time the ones I haven't seen. Most I watched on HBO Max, but for the ones that aren't there, I looked high and low across various libraries and stores for a full DVD of every show because I'm so committed to this. Most are pretty good. Please watch this video, I spent so much time on it. I watched them all in a somewhat random order, but I saved one for last. My favorite CN show as a kid, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. This show started in 2004 and in 2009. lasting 79 episodes throughout its 6 seasons and a movie. The series creator, Craig McCracken, is one of my favorite in the realms of animation. He's done Powerpuff Girls, which is a classic, Wonder Yonder, which holds a very special place in my heart, and I kinda wanna make a video on it, and Kid Cosmic. I said the first 2 seasons were my favorite new series of last year. I'd say that still holds true. Although after that we got season 3. I have feelings about season 3. They are not good feelings. Maybe in the future, maybe not. When it comes to Foster's though, it's a very interesting series. Since while it was once one of CN's biggest shows, now only brought up for one of 4 reasons. Blue being annoying, she's taking over the network, Benny being the worst thing that ever exists, people being down horrendous for Frankie. If I'm smart, the thumbnail would have all 4 of these on it. There's like a frick ton of circles. But as someone with a huge fondness for the show, I think there's much more to it than that. This will be different from my other reviews. Heck, it's less of a review and more of a retrospective. Basically, the section of the video will be this. First, an overview of the series, second, a look at the characters, a third look at some of my favorite episodes, then a look at my 3 least favorite episodes, conclusion, and finally, just something for fun, a segment where I overanalyze the children's show and think about the logistics of this world that the creators clearly never intended. Enough stalling, let's finally see if this series holds up as well as I want. This is my long and far too overly analytical look at Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Foster's came out in 2004, once again by Craig McCracken. It's one of the first shows animated in Flash, which basically has all the components of a rig at once. You just gotta move it all around. You can argue this is a good thing, since it was part of the transition away from fully hand-drawn shows, but I like it. This type of style is what Craig has adapted for the rest of his shows. Even the 10th anniversary of Powerpuff Girls, it has this Flash style. As for the story of the show, well, you don't gotta know much. It's what it sounds like. Kids think of an imaginary friend, eventually they outgrow them, they get them into Foster's Home to get adopted to keep a cycle going until the end of time. Mac is one such kid, who is forced by his mother to give up his best friend Blue, which he doesn't want to. He then finds Fosters and makes a deal with them. Blue can stay there and will never get adopted if Mac visits every day. The rest of the series is just the misadventures that the gang follow. That's really all you need to set up. It's not like there's some deep, hidden, dark lore about this innocent kids show that throws it all off, right? Soon. Overall, the show has a very chill vibe to it. Yes, it can and will get insane at points, heck, once an episode, but overall, it's just got the vibe of childhood fun wonder. Funder. But what's a world without people who inhabit it? Earth in 13 years. Here's a look at the characters. So Foster's has what we in the business call a frick ton of characters. Even if we focus on the major ones, we'll be here for a while. So for the character section, I'm focusing on the 9 major characters. Mac, Blue, Wildo Eduardo, Coco, Frankie, Mr. Harriman, Madam Foster, and Terrence. I'll cover them in that order, besides a certain one I'll save for last. Mac, I guess, is the main character. He's your average kid that no one understands. Actually, wait, there's a lot of similarities between him and Timmy, wow. There really isn't much to say about Mac. He's a nice kid, good friend to anyone, will sell his own body parts for sugar, you know, standard kid stuff. Something interesting about Mac is he's voiced by the same person throughout the whole run. As his VA, Sheen Marquette, I probably said it wrong, was 15 when it started, and he went through puberty as the show progressed. Instead of recasting him, they just pitched up his voice in post.
Blue, stop! I think he's cool! Blue, you don't want to do anything.
There's another interesting thing about Mac, but I'll get to that later. The trio of friends, they're all really fun characters. Wilt might be my favorite. His whole purpose is just to be a doormat. That's it. It is near physically impossible for him to say no. But the way he always tries his hardest to be nice and respectful, even in the hard situations, they're really funny. Also nice at the time he breaks out of his inability to say no and stands up for his friends. It's impossible to talk about Wilt without mentioning his backstory. I normally say this with the episode segment, but I need to talk about it now. In the TV movie Good Wilt Hunting, we get Wilt's backstory and a look at why he's so weird looking. Basically, he was an imaginary friend of someone named Jordan Michaels. Yes, really. And during a basketball game gone wrong, Wilt pushes Jordan out of the way for Marvel's The Thing and gets his arm ripped off and his eye permanently broken. That's pretty fricked up for a show like this. However, after who knows how long he had to wait, Will finally goes searching for his creator, fights Ben Grimm, and eventually meets up with Space Jam. And it's just a really nice TV film. Honestly, you can watch it without any knowledge of the actual show. It's just great. Eduardo was my favorite as a kid. I mean, it makes sense. Giant is still a nice purple guy with a nice design and voiced by SpongeBob. Of course he'd be my favorite. Eduardo is what you get if you took the gentle giant archetype to its absolute extreme. He's the biggest dude, but he's scared of his own shadow. He's easily my second favorite purple Cartoon Network character who's extremely nice but scared of everything that moves. His biggest appearance is probably Eddie Monster, where he gets fed up with Blue calling him a baby, so he and Terrence join a fight club, which while illegal, does help Eduardo build confidence, until he finally needs to save his friend from the ultimate evil that plagues the earth. Pikachu, the villain we all must face. Coco. What drugs were they on when they made Coco? There's really not much to say about Coco, which is fitting since she doesn't have much to say herself. Coco is like a Pokemon. She can only say her name. Despite that, everyone understands her perfectly. This is like the most overused joke in fiction, yet it always makes me smile. So, I plan to get into the darker aspects of this series in the end, but I kind of want to briefly talk about her backstory. Coco was created by a girl whose plane crash landed on an island and was unable to escape. That's why she looks like a plane in a palm tree. Sometime after, her owner hecking dies and she was found by, as you'd expect, Dexter and Mandark. What the absolute... Then, there's Frankie. Frankie has done irreparable damage to every single person who has watched this show. Listen, since I'm me, I try to talk about stuff like this, but wow, why are people so horny on main for Frankie? I see art of her pop up all the time on Twitter. She's a common answer to first personal crush. I'm convinced that if she wasn't in this show, no one would talk about it. Almost every discussion I've seen of this show brings her up at least once, usually followed by simping. With that all said though, memes aside, she is arguably the best character in the show. Will's my favorite, but she's probably the best written. She's overworked and underappreciated. It still tries her hardest to be nice to everyone, give everyone what they want, and still live her own life. This is best shown in the film Destination Imagination, where she, after being overworked, escaped to a dimension made by World, a powerful but lonely friend. And just her being nice helps World tone down his psychoness. I see why everyone likes her so much. She really is a great character. But also touch grass. There isn't much to say about Herman and Madam Foster. Herman is a stick in the mud runner of the house, he believes in the rules almost to a fault, and he doesn't understand sarcasm, and is usually the butt of the joke. I like him, but he's pretty simple. Madam Foster is possibly the start of the whole trope of the radical old grandma. I hate this trope, but Foster is easily the best example of it. She's just genuinely really fun and spunky, unlike a lot of other examples which are cringe. There's a few notable moments from her, some good, some bad, but I'll say that for the episode analysis. Terrence might feel like a weird character to throw in here, but I personally think he's kind of interesting, and arguably much potential. Terrence is Mac's older brother, and a relentless bully. He's easily the stupidest character in the show, and that at points is actually pretty funny. The reason I feel like he's missed potential is because he's rather unexplored. We never find out why he's such a bully to Mac, why he has imaginary friends. Heck, we don't even see his relationship with his mom very well. He started as a main character, but appeared less frequently as the show goes on, and the reason is actually quite interesting. He's voiced by Tara Strong, well known for voicing every character ever, and she's gone on record saying Terrence is her least favorite role because of the strain it puts on her throat doing his raspy voice. It does bring the question on why they just didn't recast her, but whatever. Finally, Blue. Oh boy, Blue. In my Courage video, I said Eustace might be the biggest base-breaking character of all time, but I never see anyone say they hate the show because of him. There's a huge hate train for Blue, and I don't agree with it. I explained this in a previous video, but Blue isn't always the big jerk everyone makes out to be. It's very clear that he cares a lot about Mac and his friends. He's just not good at spitting it out. Basically, Blue's a Soonere. A Bloondere. Yes, he's got some jerk moments, but judge me all you want, I think they're funny. And like, even the worst things he's done aren't comparable to, say, Eddie, who's honestly done even worse because he's universally beloved, while Blue was considered a showrunner.
Rip-off artist! My shit!
And, that's all the notable characters, right?
No!
No! Actually, I think she's funny. Y'all just mean. Okay, that was a long section. Let's just breeze by a few of my favorite episodes in release order. House of Blue is an introductory movie, and it's an extremely strong start. It's funny, sets up the characters extremely well, and inspired a baller Flash game. Some of the characters here are different from their later episodes. Most notably Blue, who's much nicer yet still snarky here. I'm a diehard Blue defender, but I'd be lying if I didn't say I really like this interpretation as well. Also, Duchess is cold and calculated monster in this, but in the soap proper, she's just kind of self-centered. Troubles with Scribbles was half the episode building up what's behind the door, and the other half is everyone trying to deal with Scribbles. Mostly I just like this because of Blue's obsession with the door being really funny, along with this. Seeing red might be a favorite episode. Terrence realizes that Blue makes Mac too powerful and imagines his own friend. Blue catches on quickly, while he toys around with Red a bit. Eventually, he realizes Red isn't that bad of a guy and the two become friends. Red's fun, tries his hardest to be tough, but he's really just a nice guy underneath his meat boy skin. That eventually leads him turning against Terrence and becoming friends with Blue, though he's sadly never seen again. Blue the Dog is about dogs. I love dogs. Dogs are great. Dogs are epic. Also, it's a water focus, which is fun, and is about him slowly wrapping his friends into helping him hide these dogs from Harriman, who hates them since he's a red. Only plot twist, they're imaginary friends too. Just a cute episode. The Big Babooski is a bowling episode, and it somehow manages to cram in a new rival for Foster, a bowling imaginary friend, and a moment for every major character featured. Very fun. Frankie, my dear, is an accurate representation of internet's thoughts on Frankie. As first several people simp for her here, and try to get her attention away from her boyfriend, with the end up revealing that he's a scumbag, leading to a really satisfying moment where Frankie beats him up. Most notable for introducing Orlando Blue. A running gag where Blue dresses as a human and his voice is really funny. Yes, I am mentally 5. Sweet sense of success has Blue become a commercial star, but still he realizes it's not all it's cracked up to be. Has a great ending and the best character named Dio ever. Blue Dunnett introduces Uncle Pockets, the most frequently adopted friend who is seemingly perfect. This leads to Blue trying to uncover his secret, and I won't spoil, but it's a very nice twist. Take a break for the episode where Mac bumps heads with someone and their extremely chatty named friend, Blake Superior. The two enter their friends to a talent show, and the result is a hiccup versus burp off. This is literally just Friday Night Funkin'. Go Goo Go is introduction to Goo, a recurring character who's also a lot of fun. She's got an extremely overreactive imagination and is banned from the house, and she makes hundreds of imaginary friends quickly. Despite that, Goo doesn't really have any friends. It's part of the reason she makes so many imaginary ones. The episode ends with Mac finding Goo a new purpose, helping others find imaginary friends. It's just a really cute, fun episode with one of my favorite characters in the show. The Christmas special, A Lost Claus, is one of my favorite Christmas episodes, about Mac struggling with the knowledge of Santa possibly not being real, and it ruins his life. However, well, it's a Christmas special, you can probably fill in the blanks. Possibly my favorite episode as a kid, and still one that still makes me happy to this day. One False Movie is possibly the funniest episode. It's about Blue making a film, and, well, it's Blue making a film. That speaks for itself. Most notable, though, there's an ogre in the film, with CGI and a lot of clash, but also, Wilt sings this.
Yeah, yeah, hey, hey, yeah!
Is that a motherfucking Shrek reference? Squeeze the day, it's a Hot and Topeka episode, that's it, that's all you gotta know. The neighbor painted the return of Orlando Blue, a lot of Goon Wilt, some spicy romance between Madam Foster and this old guy, and also literally just Lucas from Mother 3. Maybe. This episode came out a month after Mother 3, so it's possible this could be a huge coincidence, but it's pretty funny either way. The Blue Super Dude and the Man Potato Power, and its sequel, The Blue Super Dude and the Great Creator of Everything's Awesome Ceremony of Fun that he's not invited to, why these titles so long, are about Blue telling a story about a superhero that's just a thinly veiled retelling of his real life. They're both super creative and still have some of the best visuals of the series. Schlock Star is a battle of the bands. Blue's band is hilarious, the rivals is legit catchy, and them teaming up at the end is cute. Ream and Weep is the main focal point of me thinking Blue is actually really cool. In it, despite trying to hide it, he's clearly distraught that some imaginary friends, including Eduardo, are adopted, and throughout various letters, eventually the Foster's crew get their friends back. Finally, there's the finale, Goodbye to Blue. A lot of people don't like this episode, but I strongly disagree. In it, Blue thinks Mac might move, and he starts freaking out, thinking he might lose his best friend, letting both his big brother's side and his chaotic troll side come out. In the end though, Mac's not going anywhere, but Cheese is moving in. A lot of people hate this episode because for the big finale, it doesn't really do anything too big, like Mac's mom finding out that he's going to foster daily, or Blue being adopted. But I like this. I feel like it's more in keeping with the feel of the show. It's not some grand finale, it's smaller scale, but it still leaves it open to a follow-up, while still having the main cast create some major obstacle and in the end, changing the series. It's not without its flaws. Harriman just conveniently forgets to add in that Mac is moving next door and just says he's moving. But a flawed yet still endearing, funny, heartwarming, and entertaining finale is exactly what I want from a show that's flawed, endearing, funny, heartwarming, and thoroughly entertaining. Cheese is also the only character to break the fourth wall, proving he is indeed actually an elder god. But you can't have good without bad. Here are a few episodes I'm not a fan of. Quick mention to Duchess of Wales. The ending is awful. They punish Mac and Blue for no reason, but the whole climax of the Foster's gang unleashing war on Mac and Blue is so funny that I can't hate it. Number 3. Foster's home for making up pals. Yes, the L is in the title. A new friend moves in, but he looks very human, so Frankie tries to suss out this imposter among us. If I can vent, it's very obvious that he's imaginary, since they put so much focus on it. Not to mention it's just torturing Frankie for 22 minutes, only for her to get another kick in the ribs at the end. Number 2, Foster Goes to Europe. A full episode of Mac just trying to get his friends on a trip, only for everything to go wrong with no fault of Mac. And it ends with his victory ripped away from him by Madam Foster, which is super out of character. You've probably noticed a trend of the worst episodes being punching a character that did nothing wrong. And when it comes to the peak of that, well, everyone knows it's Bendy. If you're watching this, you probably know why this episode sucks. Bendy spends the entire episode playing cruel pranks on the main four and has never called out on it. Even when Blue exposes him, he's still not punished. Even if you hate Blue, I think we can all agree that he does not deserve any of the punishment he gets. But I'm tired of talking about it and sharing about this episode. 9 times out of 10, people talk about Foster's. This isn't like Frankie where she eventually comes up. This is the main focus, and most times people bring the show up. Secret Rate being the only thing people talk about when the show is mentioned, so that leads me to my final thoughts. And the opening question, does Foster's still hold up? Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is, in my opinion, a great show. It's well animated, funny, emotional, and full of great characters. However, it's held back from being amazing. The cracks in it are too big to ignore, but not big enough to destroy it. It's still a very enjoyable show. Number one thing that would have helped it is continuity. It saves a lot of episodes from feeling pointless. Like the episode where the 4 friends fight over a new room, just have one of them, preferably Will, since like look at it, move in. The episode where Frankie and Harriman competed for head of Foster's, Frankie won, but gave it to Harriman after realizing how hard he had it, and he did likewise. It's forgotten in the next episode they're in. Either keep Frankie as a house runner, or have the two stop butting heads. Then there's the biggest one. Have Blue remember lessons he's learned instead of dishing it next episode. It's not the fault of the writers. Craig has said he wanted continuity, but CN shot it down. I get that, especially for the time story-based shows weren't common in Western animation. This was a year before Avatar. But like continuity like this would have helped in the long run. The reason it wasn't allowed is because CN feared kids might watch a random episode and not understand it. But like, that didn't stop the show from referencing itself several times, like Leonard Blue, the Super Dude, Blue saying to Mac, hey, you remember back at episode 69 where we crucified Terrence? You know, stuff like that. Why not go further? If the show is low, I don't regret obsessing with it as a kid, or putting it number 10 on my top 35 CN shows. It's not perfect, but it's home, and I'll gladly revisit it anytime I can. Now, usually I would end it right here, but Foster's Home is one of those really interesting shows where if you think about it for even the tiniest amount of time, it immediately gets fricked up super fast. In my Adventure Time video, I mentioned the concept of fridge, which is basically something you think back on after experiencing media, usually something unintended. It can be something good, which is fridge brilliance, or messed up, which is fridge horror. The horror part is what I want to focus on, because if you think about Foster for a bit, well, let's get into this. There's a lot of fricked up things in the show. For one, it seems like our Foster's is the only imaginary friend's house in the world. There was a friend from Europe in one episode, and another episode had some adopted friends all over the world. You would think that if there were more locations, they would just go to the ones closest to them. So, yes, there's only one. The show shows that Fosters will sometimes scout out friends, but they're always in the same town, not across the world. So some friends had to have been abandoned and never found. Friends are also implied in their age. Heron was just always that old. So that could easily lead to overpopulation, or worse if they get provoked, since they seem to be basically immortal. Oh, not to mention the discrimination they face. There's plenty of moments where people look down upon friends. There's literally a sign that said imaginary friends won't get hired. And heck, the show starts with Mac's mom denying Mac access to seeing his friend ever again. It's interesting to note that a lot of friends are opposites to their creators, almost to make the kid seem better in some way. Eduardo's creator was always bullied, and while his appearance did frighten some off, eventually she needed to stand up for Ed and eventually became a cop. Wilt was the ultimate basketball star, but eventually he became a doormat to help his creator take control of his own life. And even Blue becoming more jerkish to be assigned to Mac of what not to be like. So they're basically counterparts to children, and are made to help them. But again, they're immortal. What if a particularly stupid friend, I don't know, gets released upon society, or literally anything else? They're made by children, and most don't change or grow a lot. And thus they aren't the best at, well, a lot of things. And there's no limit to the amount of friends a kid can make, as Goo has shown. So the world can just be overrun again. The good thing is that it's been confirmed only kids can make friends, so you don't have to deal with horny teens bringing their waifu into life. Or do we? In the Seeing Red episode, Terrence makes a friend. He's a teen. How we do that? Well, Word of God says you have to be post-puberty to lose this ability. So, 16-year-old boys can make imaginary friends. Oh dear. And of course, that leads us to this.
Pizza!
First off, this is hilarious. Second off, this is the only death in the show, and that's hilarious. For 3, this is so messed up. Imagine being only made to be eaten. This pizza isn't the only food friend, and they weren't as lucky to be taken out of their misery early. But this brings up another thing. Terrence didn't want an imaginary pizza, he just wanted pizza, and that caused this.
Pizza! Pizza Steve!
So in other words, any want could potentially cause the creation of an imaginary friend. It doesn't have to be conscious. Without getting too serious, there's some messed up kids out there. And they can think of some messed up things. Heck, I'm sure all of you have had passing disturbing thoughts. And if this was a hit 2004 animated series foster home for imaginary friends, it would be real. There's no limit to what the friend is. Heck, just look at some of the ones you meet in the show. Barry is an obsessive yandere who kidnaps a family and tries to murder a child. Extreme Destroyers are giant, animalistic, extremely powerful monsters who are completely untamable. World is a reality warper of nigh unstoppable power who's more than a little unstable after abandonment. World was explained, but can you just imagine the creators of the others? Foster Home is really just a hexscape of ageless, nigh unstoppable monsters who usually can't grow mentally, with rampant discrimination, and might be the most dangerous place to live in all of cartoons. If you're happy and you know it. I like chocolate milk.
Hot in Topeka. It's hot. It's hot. It's hot.
So if you couldn't tell, I have something underneath the red shirt here, and it makes me look really awkward. Like I look like really big or buff, but I just have this tiny little head. Like I look like the freaking. I don't know what I look like, but I look dumb and stupid and bad when I'm wearing this. I barely look like Mac, but that's what the costumes supposed to be, Mac. That's why I had the backpack on. But I just look like an idiot.